Welcome to Salcedo Paranormal. It is Tuesday, November 15th, 2022, and tonight I'll be sharing true paranormal stories from the web. As always, you can find all the episodes of the show, along with links to social media and ways to contact me at the podcast page, which is salcidoparanormal.podbean.com. That's SALSIDO paranormal.podbean.com. Always happy to hear from you all, whether you have comments or questions or topic suggestions or stories of paranormal experiences, whether they're your own or from others that you trust. Happy to either read those or have you join me on the show to talk about them. And as of now, it looks like the rest of the week is planned out. Tomorrow will be another episode of Comic Books and the Paranormal with Derek. And then Thursday will be Paranormal News. And again, there will be a bonus episode at the end of the month on the last Saturday of the month. So, I think that's it for now. I have 3 stories for everyone tonight. And so I think I'll get right to those. Thank you all for listening, for being here and listening. Whether you are here for the live stream or you listen to the podcast or YouTube feeds. We've crossed 8,000 views total on YouTube now, which is really amazing. So, thank you all for all the views. Let me see here. All right. So let me get to this first story. This says, so this happened to me about 7 or 8 years ago. I was going to a new dentist, which was inside an older style building in downtown Boston. I had just started going to them. The first 2 times making my appointments, it was nothing out of the ordinary. I had a consultation for braces one day and went in with my mother. When we walked in, we were greeted by an older lady who seemed to be wearing an all-white dress, now that I look back. She was standing, or maybe sitting, behind a podium or desk, whichever it was. Me and my mother both remember seeing her and talking with her. She asked us if we knew where we were going. We said yes, and then headed up the stairs toward the dental office door. The next time, next time we went in, there was no lady and no desk or podium. While the receptionist front desk downstairs. Oh wait, I'm sorry. I skipped the line. While we were making small talk with the front desk of the office, we mentioned the receptionist front desk downstairs and had a question about them, if she was the one taking the phone calls or something. They told us there's never been anyone in the lobby or any front desk receptionist. It was like she disappeared with no trace. Me and my mother are both convinced that she was a ghost. And so that story is really amazing. I wonder if there was someone there at some point, maybe far in the past. I don't know. That's a neat story. And it just makes you wonder, because it does seem like she appeared solid. So, and they talk with her and everything. It does seem like one of those situations of possibly a time slip of some kind. Just in that one area, maybe, I wonder, because nothing else was different. But neat story there. So, and of course the figure was all in white. That's something that is common, but it's not always common for these kind of, I don't know if it's a traditional woman in white sighting, because a lot of times I can't think of very many of those where the person actually, the apparition or whatever that was, actually talked with the people that saw it. So I understand why they would maybe mention that, but still weird. Doesn't quite fit that category exactly, although obviously I don't claim to know anything or how any of this works. So, But just a neat story there, and it sounds like it was just a neat experience that didn't even seem paranormal at the time until after the fact, which those are always amazing to me. So, but yeah, I was glad I found that story. I think I do feel like maybe some kind of time anomaly um fits that one the best. Um, could be wrong, obviously, but just seems like it there. But yeah, so that's the first story, and let's see here. Let me get to the second one. Um, so this says my mom worked at a hospital in an operation theater. Sometimes she had to work until late nights, having to sterilize equipment and such. One day she asked me to accompany her to her workplace at night. I suppose she left something behind or remembered to do something she didn't do earlier. So off we went. We entered the place, and it felt really off for me. I was about 7 years old at the time, so I thought maybe I was just being scared for no reason. Upon entering, she noticed that the air conditioner in the area had not been turned off. So she turned it off while nagging, accusing one of her colleagues of not turning the AC off before leaving work. We then went further back where she had to do something. Once done, we walked back to the entrance. As we were about to leave, right when we were passing by the AC, it switched right back on. We even heard the sound of the switch and the humming of the AC. I was startled. I thought that was weird, but Mom didn't say a word. Rather, she turned it back off, and we walked as casually as we could to the lift. Once we were on the lift, Mom said, "Did you see what happened to the AC?" I nodded, scared. I suppose the dead like it cold. I remember that moment to this day. It was the scariest thing ever. Luckily, Mom was around, and she was cool as a cucumber. I guess that's the perk of having worked in a hospital with a morgue for a while. So, that's a interesting idea there. um, the writer has about maybe someone being there liking it cold, or multiple people. I don't know. Um, it is neat that it just someone possibly wanted that thing on. Thought it was too warm in there, and neat story there about electronics being manipulated like that, and the physical switch even too. So, um, yeah, neat story. Hospitals. I've been to a couple over the years, and I never saw anything weird, but they always felt crowded. Like they always feel crowded to me. Not negative, just crowded. And I don't know. It's really it wouldn't surprise me if there are all kinds of entities there, whether it's people that have passed or that are getting ready to be to I don't know, bringing people in to be born. Who knows? Um, but that is a neat story. I think there are so many medical facility stories out there. Um, but yeah, neat story, and it sounds like someone possibly wanted the place a little bit cooler than it was. So yeah, um, 8,000 over 8,000 views. That's really it. It's really amazing to me every time I check on that channel, and there's just more and more views. So I think it's only a matter of time before we hit 10K. Just never expected that. Um, we actually have there's over twice as many views on YouTube as there are downloads on the podcast side of things. So I always figured it'd be the other way around, but it's not. Um, yeah. Lamastrina. It's a hospital. People die there every day. I wouldn't be surprised if something paranormal happens. Yeah, there's just so many stories of medical facilities, whether it's any kind of hospital, doctors' places, just whatever. It does seem like there's always a potential for a lot of things to happen there, and I'm sure there's probably things that happen that people don't even notice or try not to notice. So, but yeah, neat story. So I have one more for tonight, and I'll get started on that right now. This one says, a couple of months ago, I was in my living room doing some my exercises with my rug out and everything. I finished, put it all away like usual, watched TV for maybe 30 minutes before I got up to get a snack. When I came back, there was a remote in the middle of my living room floor. I was immediately taken aback because I had never seen a remote like that before. And I had just been literally laying down on the floor where it was, and it wasn't there. Not to mention, I had been watching TV in the room too, so it's not like it fell from somewhere or I would have seen it. I took a picture of it and sent it to my husband, wondering if it was a lost remote or something of his, or to something of his, but he had never seen it before either. It could turn on and had this blinking green light. So I opened it and removed the batteries, which had writing in another language on it, and wrote the whole thing off as really weird. Then today, same sort of thing. Came out into my living room, was watching TV. Everything was normal. I got up to get a cup of coffee, came back, and there was a piece of a dark braided rope, again, in the middle of my living room floor. It's like a perfectly cut segment and looks like it may have been a handle to something. But again, I have no idea where it came from, and neither my husband or I recognized it. And I don't understand what's happening. I'm not a huge believer in the paranormal, but I can't seem to find a good explanation. Please help. Any insight is appreciated. And that to me is really amazing. I've heard of stories of items that people already own going missing, but I've never heard of an item like that, like a remote or some kind of a rope thing that just things that don't belong to the people just appearing. There is this whole thing known as apports, things that appear as or that appear and disappear that people have people are like they've seen before, or at least it'll happen over and over again, so they'll see the same thing. But this just sounds like random items that don't even belong to the people. And yeah, that's what I'm wondering if it's some kind of portal. Hello, Rohan. Everyone there in the stream, I see you all there listening. Thank you. I really wonder because it sounds like both of the objects appeared in the same spot. I really wonder if there's some kind of whether it's constant or not. It might not even be constant, but it's just these items there that the people have no connection to are just appearing. Yeah, Jin moves things. Hello, Vicky. Yeah, I don't know. It's just really amazing, and the writing that is not even in the same language. I'm guessing English, but either way, it's not even in the same language as the person, like the items that the person owns. It's just really, really odd. And then that rope. Lamastrina says, "I wonder if seeing the rope has a meaning. I don't know. I feel like it's just random things that somehow I wonder where the other end of the portal is, if there is one. Um, just a really random story that is really amazing, but also just confusing in a way as well. Um, but yeah, I don't know about that one. I think I think these objects. It's one thing when they're things that the person owns. I just keep coming back to that. It's one thing that when it's something that someone has that vanishes, you might be able to write that off as, oh, they just lost it, they just misplaced it. But when it's something that the person doesn't even have, that takes that whole thing, the whole appearing, vanishing and reappearing objects thing, to a whole other level. So, um, really neat story. I don't blame the writer for wondering what is going on. Um, but yeah. So I want to save that one for last because I really don't know about that one. So I may have to do a show on that at some point. Vanishing and reappearing items, objects. That could be fun to do. But yeah. Also, speaking of that, I just realized this last night. Uh, that I forgot to talk about an experience I had recently, and that everyone here in the chat is kind of reminding me of it. With Logan, with my cat. Now, before I've said that, there's been a couple of times where she somehow was in one part of the apartment, and I saw her, and then I turned, and then she came from the opposite direction. And she's done that. She had done that twice. Before. This happened again just the other day. I was getting up from my computer here and heading towards the front of the apartment, and I looked, and Logan was sleeping on a chair in the back of the apartment. This is not a very big apartment. And so she was sleeping, laying on this chair. And I turned, and it literally took maybe a couple seconds at the most. And she was walking toward me. And I look back at the chair, and she's not there anymore. I don't know what to make of it. I think it's amazing. However it works. But yeah, there's something to cats having some kind of being connected to the paranormal in some way. I think at this point it's pretty easy for me to say that because it was too fast. There's no way she could have gotten around. Did I get startled? Yes, a little bit. Llama Screen, I did a little bit because it was just so fast. The other two times, even though I'm sure I didn't miss anything, it was still enough time where maybe I could have possibly missed her walking around me, even though I know I didn't. But just going with the extremely skeptical or logical end of the spectrum there of possibilities, I could have maybe done that. But this was just too fast. There's no way. For that to happen. Yeah, it was really amazing in a way too, but it did startle me because I wasn't expecting that. Um, but yeah, so I may have to do a show on cats at some point as well. But yeah, and it's funny we were talking about that in the voice chat last night, and makes me wonder about whether or not they can if certain cats ever just teleport outside without us even knowing, and go on little adventures and then come back. But let me see. Am I still seeing orbs? I haven't seen any in a while. No. If you're talking about the blue light outside, no, I have not seen any more outside. But then again, I haven't really been out at night as much as I used to because that was more in the summertime when it was like 60 or 70 degrees outside at night, and now it's like 30. And so I haven't been as tempted to go outside at night. So I have a way I could look outside through the back door. I just keep forgetting to do it at night. So, but yeah, I haven't seen any more since then. So Um, I don't know. That's uh that's a whole other series of events. I'd love to see it again. I even though I got in some trouble for it, I did invite it to stop in and come closer to see me, as long as it didn't have any bad intentions. And but nothing has happened really yet. So, but yeah, that's all I have for tonight. Um, and I'm looking forward to tomorrow night talking with Derek. We have a good event picked out for tomorrow night and to cover. So thank you all for being here. Amazing crowd here. I really appreciate it. And I'll be back tomorrow night again along with Derek on the next episode of Salcedo Paranormal. Take care, everyone.